Hey, happy Friday night, everybody out there. All you beautiful ladies on Recovering Cinderella. This is Carrie, and I just posted a new blog called When It's Okay or When Should I Start Dating After My Divorce? So, of all the questions that I get, this is probably one of the most popular topics. So, when you're facing a divorce, your mind is completely overwhelmed. You worry about everything and anything. You wonder how you're going to make it on your own. You wonder where you're going to live or where he's going to live. You wonder how it's going to affect your kids. You wonder what you're going to do about health insurance. If you've been a stay-at-home mom, you wonder how you're going to support yourself. But one of the questions that I get most often, or that women tell me they worry about the most, is, am I going to be alone for the rest of my life? When to start dating again seems to be the hottest topic, because the minute that you change your status on Facebook to separated or divorced, all of a sudden you are going to be inundated with ads for online dating services and every friend that you tell or family member will all of a sudden have all this advice for you and tell you that you need to get out there and start dating right away, that that's the best thing that you can do. And while there are no, hi Ivy, while there are no hard and fast rules about when you should start dating again, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about both my experiences and experiences that I've heard from hundreds of women. So when you're sitting alone and you're mourning the loss of your marriage, it can be very tempting just to jump online to any dating site, and you can be validated immediately, because there will be a lot of messages in your inbox, because there's a lot of men out there ready to pounce on the latest single lady. And for a while, that excitement kind of keeps your mind off your divorce, and you feel validated and you feel attractive and you feel like somebody's interested in you, and in your mind you're already planning, this whole new life with somebody else, and you don't need to worry about your ex. But the problem with that is, when you're in emotional chaos, and whether you realize it or not, when you're going through a divorce, you're not able to have an emotionally healthy relationship with anyone. Like it or not, you have to take the time to work through all of the emotions from your divorce before you go diving into the dating pool. So you need to fully mourn your marriage, and you need to take the time to grieve what you have lost. When you think about it, you've lost your spouse, and sometimes, it was your best friend. It was the loss of your dreams, and, sometimes it's even the loss of a family. So if you don't take the time to mourn all of that before you jump into something else, then you're never going to fully be able to have an emotionally healthy relationship. So for those of you who don't know my story, I've actually been divorced twice. I got married the first time very young, was married for 13 years, got divorced, and did that jump right into the dating pool thing because I wanted to make a new life, and I didn't need to mourn my marriage. And it was the biggest mistake I ever made for a lot of reasons. But in retrospect, because I've been divorced and dated, and then I got remarried and divorced and was in the dating pool again. And I think in retrospect, I can realize that had I taken the time to work on me and work through all of my emotional stuff and make sure that I was in a really good place, then I probably would not have had 2 divorces. So whether you've been married decades or you've been married a few years, you are not the same person you were when you got married. We change. Marriage changes us, and divorce definitely changes us. So you need to take the time to figure out who you are separate from your spouse. And you need to take the time to figure out who you are, what you like to do. This is the time to reevaluate your entire life. A lot of times when I ask women what they like to do or what their hobbies are when after a divorce, I'm not really surprised, but a lot of times they can't tell me what it is they like to do. They will tell me what they like to do as a couple. They will tell me what their ex liked to do. They will tell me things that they did together, but a lot of times we lose ourselves during a marriage and we kind of forget who we are. So you really need to go back to the basics and figure out who you are again and find out what you like, not what your former spouse liked, but what you like. Evaluate everything in your life at this point. This is the time. Everything from where you are, where you're living, where you are in your career. What does happiness look like for you now? Because it's probably changed since you were married. So what does happiness look like? What are some things that you've always wanted to do and you've never had the time or done or taken a risk on? Now is the time to do that. That could be everything from taking a cooking class to starting a business to moving across the country or traveling. Not all these things are feasible depending on your situation, but it is an opportunity to really grow and explore and really give yourself permission to maybe redefine yourself at this point. So there's a certain freedom that comes with making decisions without having to check with anyone else or have anyone else's approval. So think about what you want your new life to look like and then make a plan for what that looks like. And part of that is taking the lessons that you've learned from your marriage and taking the lessons that you've learned from your divorce and realizing how that fits into your new world. And understanding what it is you need and you want in a potential partner. It's kind of amazing when you sit down and you think about, after you've gone through your divorce, some of the reasons that you did get divorced and were your needs being met? And did your spouse give you the same love that you needed? And so figuring all of those things out is really, really important. Another thing to realize is when you are in an emotionally unstable place, that is what you attract in return. So if you are still in an emotional chaos and you have drama with your former spouse and you haven't quite figured out how your new life's going to work, that tends to be the type of person that you bring into your life. And that never goes well because you both have a lot of drama and you both have a lot of emotional chaos. So what's really important is that you get yourself into a really, really good place and know who you are and become emotionally stable before you try to get into another relationship where they may be bringing more chaos into your life than you need. There's no set time limit on when the perfect time to start dating after a divorce is. And I tell people all the time, there is no hard and fast rule, although typically it takes you at least a year to adjust to your new life and your new role and who you are without your former spouse. So jumping into a relationship prior to a year is typically not a good idea. It may be different depending on why your marriage ended and different factors, but just make sure that you yourself are in a really, really good place before you jump into another relationship. You need time on your own to work through everything before you jump into something else. Get to know you. Get to know you and really love you and love yourself as fiercely as you once loved your ex. Because as women, we tend to not give ourselves the same kind of love that we willingly give everyone else. And we deserve it. And we need to learn to love ourselves, because if we can't love ourselves, then it's difficult for someone else to love us. So if you wait and you are in a good place emotionally, then you're much more likely to end up in a good relationship. So Julie, you just commented that you're scared of men now, and that's very, very common. Depending on why your marriage ended and what happened. For me, it took me a very, very, very long time. It took me many years before I was able to trust someone again, because I got burned so badly. And that's okay. If you take the time and you work through your own issues in time, if you do, because eventually you will date, if you find someone that's worth it and you're in a good place and you know what you want and you need and you wait for that right person, then it will take a little bit of time, maybe a long time before you trust them, but it's definitely worth it. So you know, it's not unusual to be scared of men. But just be very careful about the type of men that you choose to get involved with. And if you take that time to understand your needs and what you're looking for, then you're more likely to find it. Does anybody else have any other topics on divorce or dating or other topics that you would like to see on blog posts in the future? Nope, kind of quiet out there tonight. I know it's Friday night and it's a busy holiday season. I am going to post this on the Facebook page, and then the blog is on www.recoveringcinderella.com. So all my blog posts are out there. If you ladies have not joined, I know Ivy, you're in my group, I believe, and Darlene, you are. If you have not joined my private Facebook support group, there is a link both on the Facebook page, and then there is a link on my website to my private support group. So I have a private Facebook support group which brings together women who are going through a divorce with women who have already been through a divorce. And it's a private group. Only members can see what's posted in there. There's a little bit of humor. There's a lot of support. And there's just a lot of women realizing and empowering each other and understanding that they're not alone. You know, everybody's story is different, but when you understand that you're not alone and that other women are going through similar things and that your feelings are not unusual, there's something empowering in that. And that's really what I wanted to create in my support group. So feel free to join the support group. You do have to answer a few questions. Read my blogs. For those of you, I know I have people on this page from all over the world. So I am in Kansas City, Missouri, so Central Time. It is about, gotta look and see, I don't even know what time it is. It is a little after 9:00 p.m. on Friday night. I will try to do these little talks regularly, and normally I will post them. Tonight I did not pre-post it. I just decided to go live. I'm gonna go live on Instagram here in a little bit. But I posted this blog. If you haven't read my other blog I posted last week, it's on how to survive the holidays when you are going through a divorce. And there's some tips in there on just how to get, not only get through the holidays, but maybe even find just a little bit of joy in them, even when you are going through a divorce. And so I recommend that blog. It's very helpful. There's some good tips in there. Hi, Carrie. Are there any other questions before I sign off? Okay. You ladies have an awesome night, and feel free to, post comments on here, or you can message me on Recovering Cinderella's website or on the Facebook page. And just hope you guys have a great night.